Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Car Boss. Our question for today is what kind of outcomes from the training can we expect from professionals for the after sales training?
Namaskar. I remember in the first episode of this after sales training, I didn't mention about the reluctance of dealerships to have their own in-house after sales training, system. Very rightly so. And I also mentioned about the outcomes that you can expect when you conduct very elaborate, or I would say very professional in-house training. To simply put it, I would think any dealership which has a very competent in-house after sales training, you can expect a 30% increase in the revenue. Now, you can challenge me to that. I'm willing to take the challenge because I know how much of a difference training makes, an impact that it makes in the overall, conduct or performance of a dealership. And I will go into the details to explain the kind of outcomes or kind of positive outcomes that you get out of this sales training. So if any one of you are thinking that you don't need after sales training, maybe at the end of this, you may have a change of mind. And if anyone challenges me, I am willing to take up that challenge because I think this is very important to understand. And hopefully, it works better for all of us. Now, when you talk about outcomes, I would think there are 5 outcomes. So I'll go one by one. The first outcome is in terms of revenue generation. Now, when I talk 30%, this is one part of the revenue I'm talking about. There is many more which will come up later. Now, this revenue generation more from the mechanical side, that means cars which come for service, the cars that go for body repairs, then you get revenues out of value-added services, then accessory sales, etc., etc. Now, how you think that you can increase this by 30%? That is a question that you may like to pose to me. Please remember that when a customer comes for service, there are certain scheduled services to be done. Many times, customers are reluctant to carry out certain things which they said it costs money. No, skip this, not required. I will see it next time. Now, if you have a service advisor who has the trust and the confidence of who enjoys the trust and the confidence of the customer will go by what the service advisor recommends. I can tell you this 100%. Because he knows that this service advisor is not bluffing him. He's not trying to, take him for a ride. He really means that, well, for me, I must do what he wants me to. There are a few things that I've observed in service centers. One of the things that customers are very reluctant to do is what they call wheel alignment and wheel balance. Now, in many countries, you don't do this because the roads are very good, not required to be done. But I'm not saying the roads in India are bad, they're much better now. But still, wheel alignment, wheel balancing is something that must get done. And it costs a little amount of money. It also, means tire rotation, wheel balancing, etc. It all becomes one integrated part. Now, people are reluctant to do this. They said, let's skip it. A good service advisor, enjoying the confidence and the respect of the service of the customer, will say, go ahead and do this. You see the increase that happens in it. There are many other small things that normally customers say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But if it comes from a service advisor, they respect, they value, they trust, they say, go ahead and do this. So you will find just in the case of scheduled service, routines to be carried out, customers will not skip anything because service advisor says do this. It is an increase in your revenue. Now, let's be very clear on one thing. I am not for a minute advocating that doing something which is not required. Please let us not, make a mockery of customers or trying to take even one penny out of them extra. What is required, what is genuine, what is going to help it is what we're going to recommend. So it is not that we are trying to extract more out of him, but making sure that he does what is good for him and good for his car. So you will find this itself will get you extra revenue, which would have others been missed out, and the customer would have probably paid the price for it later. The second is in terms of value-added services. Now, these days when customers come for service, they want to make sure that the car looks well, whether it is cleaning interior or getting the car polished or getting a silicone coating done for the car or adding some accessories. Now, these are things they would want to do. Now, but again, people are reluctant because it costs a little extra money. But when it is recommended by a service advisor who enjoys, the confidence of the customer says, go ahead and do it. I've seen this happening. They don't mind spending money because it's been recommended by the service advisor to whom he has a lot of respect for. So you see again that revenue goes up. Now there are additional things that happens, whether it's a tire change, the car, tire requires to be changed. Many customers say, look, I'll buy in the market which is cheaper. But if he has a service advisor who says, buy it for me, he'll buy it because he knows tomorrow something goes wrong with the tires, there is somebody to back me up. He'll buy it from the dealership. Similarly, battery. Now, these are all things, revenues which would have probably lost if you didn't have a service advisor who enjoyed the trust of the customer. Now, another important revenue source is in terms of insurance renewals. I've seen many times customers don't do the renewal because the insurance renewal means a certain income to everyone, to the dealership. Now, they don't want to do it. They said, I'll do it with my agent or somebody else, etc. But again, when the service advisor says that your car is due for an insurance renewal, they'll do it with you because they know tomorrow, God forbid, there's a requirement to claim insurance. This service advisor is there to help me out. So you see these different revenue streams within the service that adds up to your total earnings when a car comes for service. All this happens simply because of the fact that you have a service advisor who enjoys the confidence. So big impact for the dealership. That's the first part, revenues. I may have missed out a few things here and there, some parts, etc. Maybe. All this will add up. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the service advisor has a huge say and a huge impact on what the customer spends. The second outcome is in terms of customer satisfaction, CSI they call it. And today it translates into Google rating. Now, let me tell you what I have observed is most of the customers today, when they choose to go to a dealership for getting their cars serviced, they look at the Google rating. Because if you have a choice of many service centers, you look at and say, look, I want to go somewhere where people are given good ratings, people are given good reviews. Very important. Now, again, if you have a service advisor who is very competent, he will get excellent, outstanding reviews for customers. In fact, they write such fantastic reviews that a new customer comes to the service center and says, look, I want to meet so-and-so. I heard so much about him on the reviews. You see how that improves your profitability because every service means more revenue to the dealership. So customer satisfaction and Google rating really is a big beneficiary of having a good team. Now, even if there is a complaint, something that the customer is not happy with, he will not go into social media or will not escalate the matter because he says, look, I know this guy. This service advisor is so committed. I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of trust in him. He'll get it done. There is no need for me to go and escalate the matter. So you will find that even a blunder committed by the dealership is not escalated because of the trust that the customer has on the service advisor. So big impact in terms of Google rating and customer satisfaction because that's going to bring in you more revenues. New customers are going to come to you because they say, look, we have heard so much about this particular service center. So that's a second outcome. The third outcome is in terms of customer retention. Now today, if a customer is unhappy with service, he's definitely not going to come back. Especially if he doesn't have the confidence and say, look, I don't trust anybody here. I have nobody that I relate to. There is always what they call the power of recognition. If you go to a place and you say, look, I know this guy, then you feel so confident to go to the service center. Now, if you don't have someone you relate to and you have a problem, you are never going to go back. Not only that, you will not go back, you will also tell your friends, don't go to the service center because they did such a bad job on my car. Imagine the kind of impact that has. So customer retention is extremely important. And that can only happen if you have very competent, very professionally trained service advisors who will make sure that customers don't leave. And let's not forget today, with so much of proliferation of service centers coming up, there is every chance of you losing customers because they say, look, I want a service center next door. Why should I go somewhere far away? But I can tell you one, that if the customer relates to a particular service advisor, he doesn't mind going that extra distance or having his car picked up because he says, I want this guy to handle my car. Come what may. So that is the kind of customer retention that you can benefit if you have a good service advisor. So that's the third. The fourth, which many people are not aware, is the kind of what you call extra sales that comes out of showrooms. Incremental sales, I would call it. Incremental sales of new cars that you get out of service centers, because of the kind of relationship between the customer and the service advisor. If he wants to exchange his car or he wants to upgrade, he will always ask the service advisor, look, I'm thinking of buying another car. I want to move from this car to another car, be a larger car, etc. What's your opinion? And he'll say, sir, buy so and so car. And he'll go by that. Because he says, look, this guy knows and he knows what my requirements are. He's not someone who's going to let me down. I enjoy his confidence. So he will go by what the service advisor recommends. Now, I have seen that there are many service advisors who probably give referral sales, more referral sales than many consultants. Imagine in a service center with 5 service advisors. I'm just talking about 5 services. Each one giving 2 or 3 referral sales. It's 15 cars. Oh. It adds to your revenues. And don't forget, this is the customer. His friends, his relatives, when they want to buy a car, he says, you want to go and buy this car? I will put you onto the service advisor. He will take care of it. It is not that he'll say, I'll put you through the sales consultant because he's forgotten the consultant. He remembers the service advisor. So you see the incremental sales that develops out of this whole bonding that the customer and the service advisor. Incremental sales, huge. And people don't realize it that you stay with the brand not just simply because for anything else, but the fact that you have confidence in your after sales support, and that comes to a service advisor. So incremental sales, new car sales is a fourth outcome or fourth benefit out of good training. The last one, which not many people are aware, is that you can increase if a dealership has got a division for pre-owned car. You can source a lot of cars from the service. When I say source means there are customers whose cars are 5 years, 7 years old. The service advisor says, sir, now you have run this car for so long, so many kilometers covered. Why don't you look for a change? This is something that the thought process happens in the customer. Then he'll say, sir, I will help you. We'll buy back your old car and you buy a new car from us without any hassles. All things will be taken care of. There are many times customers say, just go ahead and do it. Now you see you're not only getting a car to buy and sell as a pre-owned car, you also get a new car sales. It's double whammy. So you see the kind of thing which not many people have really used. Today there is a trend which we started a long time back of sourcing cars from service centers. Because if you have to sell new cars, earlier what used to happen was people come with the old cars to the showroom, sell it or give it to a broker or whatever and buy a new car. Now you are generating new car sales through sourcing old cars at the service center. You buy the old cars and sell a new car. Now, this can only happen if you have the support of the service advisor. They are the best people who can encourage customers to sell their own cars. So you see the whole pre-owned car sales plus an incremental new car sales happen because the service advisor is in, and because of the confidence he enjoys with the customer. Now, you look at these 5 outcomes. You have the revenue going up from the normal routines. You have customer retention. You have customer rating. You have new car sales, and you have pre-owned car business sales. 5 of these outcomes are so important. Is it that something that we can dispense with? Will dealerships want to forego all this simply because they don't want to invest and have an in-house after-sales service, after-sales training team? If somebody thinks that, I think it's really, definitely there is something which is alarming, because you can, like I said in the beginning, a 30% increase in your overall revenue if you have a very competent, robust, and a very professional after-sales training team. I think it's worth it. And I'm sure that's going to benefit you, but needs a certain amount of focus and certain amount of commitment. It will work.
Perfect, Kumar. Thank you so much for adding everything for today. See you in the next episode. Thank you.